I think the classic Israeli tactic of trying to kill as many people and children as possible before the ceasefire officially goes into effect is pretty good evidence that it's not really about the hostages at all. And but speaking about, so we're talking about, is this ceasefire deal going to stick? And well, I love Ricky Hale says, he tweets out, Israel agrees to another one of those ceasefires where Israel does not cease firing. The Onion also nailed it. Israel agrees to go back to killing Palestinians on a less frequent basis. And of course, they've been proven right already. Those headlines have been proven right already. This is from the Global Samud Flotilla commentary. It says, Israeli tanks targeted Palestinians who were celebrating the ceasefire agreement and attempted to return to Gaza City via the Al-Rashid Street. As Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu announced the postponement of the ceasefire's start, Israeli warplanes, drones, and tanks continued to strike areas across the Gaza Strip. And here they are. So that's their tanks.
Yep.
So the people are celebrating a ceasefire, and Israel starts firing on them. Of course they did. I think the classic Israeli tactic of trying to kill as many people and children as possible before the ceasefire officially goes into effect is pretty good evidence that it's not really about the hostages at all. And just to remind you, Israel has a ceasefire with Lebanon right now. But guess what they're doing during their ceasefire? Nearly daily airstrikes, drone attacks, and artillery fire targeting alleged Hezbollah sites. That's what's happening during their ceasefire with Lebanon. So, again, if any other product broke as often as an Israeli breaks their peace treaties, they'd be pulled from the market. We know that. And here is Wolf Krieger says, Israel, I already saw this in the last, but Israel was forced into this and they don't want it. That's obvious, which means it won't last. Unfortunately, they'll find some way to get their war machine going again. And so they're already, so doesn't that tell you exactly what they said? That if this isn't about the hostages, this isn't about peace, this is about Israel trying to wipe out the Palestinians and kill as many of them as they possibly can.
At least for, the far right-wing coalition that's currently in power around Benjamin Netanyahu. For them, it's always been about exterminating the Palestinians and taking all of their land and expanding into the greater Israel region. I would argue that for Benjamin Netanyahu, it's really just self-preservation.
Yes.
He's going to do whatever he can to not go to prison, because the moment that Benjamin Netanyahu is no longer prime minister and his corruption trials resume, he's going to prison. And if anyone hasn't seen the documentary called The Bibi Files yet, highly recommend you watch it. It has incredible behind-the-scenes footage about that trial, and it really elucidates how the war and October 7th and the alleged stand-down order that was given all seems to fit directly into place for Benjamin Netanyahu to stay in power and delay the inevitable justice that will be served to him the moment that he has to face the very real corruption that is very well evidenced on his behalf.
And Israel has a long history, recent history also, of imprisoning their leaders for corruption.
They actually do. Yep.
They've
done it for prime ministers, they've done it for presidents, and they've done it for high-level executive positions as well.
And so Bibi knows that he's next, right? Because people have been, over a year ago, even more so, thousands of people surrounded Bibi's home, not his office, not the parliament, not the Knesset. They went to his house, thousands and thousands of Israelis to protest against his corruption. I thought they were protesting against his handling of the Gaza conflict. They were protesting at that time his corruption and his rigging of the Supreme Court. And to me, it's like in the middle of a genocide. That's kind of like protesting against Pol Pot for more bike lanes. But anyway,
but if he ever does go to jail, one thing that is going to be absolutely epic, Jimmy, is his wife Sarah's response caught on camera I don't know if you're aware of how much that woman drinks, but the BB Files documentary has a whole segment on Sarah Netanyahu and on her drinking habits and on how she treats people. And anyone that's watched footage of Sarah Netanyahu knows that that woman is truly unhinged. And I really hope that we get to see someday soon Sarah Netanyahu screeching at the top of her lungs about how she's innocent and you can't do this to her. And she knows people. She knows very important people, very wealthy people. So we'll see.
So isn't it amazing how that doesn't get reported in the mainstream news, the corporate news?
Never gets brought up.
That Benjamin Netanyahu is really, as long as he can stay in war, which is why he's bombing 8 different countries at once.
Yeah.
8 different countries. Tell me who's the terrorist in the Middle East? Is it Hamas? Is it Al Qaeda? Is it ISIS? Or is it the Israel in the United States? Israel's now bombing 8 different countries at once and breaking every ceasefire they ever had. Anyway, it'll be. Well, again, fingers crossed. This all works out. But we know it's amazing that the corporate news does not report that Benjamin Netanyahu is doing all this warmongering and making sure that everybody knows he's the one blocking the hostages releases. Even the people in Israel have protested against him because they know he doesn't really care about the hostages. He needs Hamas to hang on to the hostages so he can continue bombing them and stealing their land and continuing the greater Israel project. Because if they gave up their hostages right away, he'd have there's no pretense for him to keep doing what he's doing. So that's why he's blocked every hostage release negotiated deal. But isn't it amazing how that never gets reported in the United States?
Never once.
Ever.
I mean, it's not surprising when you actually look at who owns and runs all of the media company, not all, but like an awful lot of the media in America. And they're buying up more social media platforms.
You mean like
not
Zionists,
just Israelis, but Jewish Zionists as well. It's no surprise. It's the way the media goes here in the United States.
Well, now that Larry Ellison owns 1/6,
exactly
1/6 of all U.S. media plus TikTok.
And conservative Inc. influencers are still out on X screeching about how see, China controlling TikTok isn't going. So it's like, bro, come on. We all know who controls TikTok at this point. We all know who Larry Ellison loves and is here for. I think that in looking at the bigger plan here, the ceasefire deal, the peace deal, all of it, like we said at the start, great thing. We hope it works, or at least I hope it works. But it really does feel like this is not. It doesn't feel like this is happening because Trump's heart is so big and he cares about peace so much, as because the power of the Gulf states, Qatar, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, a lot of these nations are just now maturing into sort of financial and political maturity. A lot of these nations were ravaged by CIA coups, by the oil industry, raping them for all of their resources. And so the wealth in those Gulf states has been building over time as they've been using their oil and controlling their own resources in that way. And now the Gulf states, in general, the Arab world there is extremely powerful financially. And a big tipping point was the board of BlackRock had a representative of Qatari Sovereign Wealth Fund for a long time. And then they swapped him out for a representative of Saudi Arabian, the Saudi Arabian National Oil Company. The financial world that really kind of moves everything around behind the scenes, they are getting more and more aligned with the Gulf states. And I can't help but feel like this is just sort of the next logical progression in that power realignment, as Israel has kind of expended their, political capital around the world, and the Gulf states have been just increasingly money talks, and they've got a lot of it. And I can't help but suspect that a lot of people are going to be making a lot of money on the rebuild and on whatever comes of Gaza. And I'm sure it'll be better than the genocide that was just happening, but I'm not optimistic that it will be prioritizing the well-being of anyone on the ground.
And I just wanted to show you this video, Ian. So I don't know who did this. TRT Haber put this together, and it shows you this is what Palestine used to look like, and now what it looks like after Israel's 2-year genocide. Well, let's go ahead and play it. And so
Oh yeah.
that's what it used to look like, a real society, a real place, and it's just been wiped off the map.
Exactly.
They
Yeah, I've
just-
seen some estimates say that it could take up to like 50 years or more to clear all the rubble, which I suspect that is not going to be the case, but it's just unbelievable what they've done. And it is unbelievable, the task of any type of rebuilding on that land.
Even Satan was like, "Hey guys, I think you got to rein it in a little."
Yeah.
I mean, just
Yeah.
take a look at that. That is, they've just turned it into nothing.
Well, Jimmy, Hamas was underneath every one of those
Every one of
buildings.
them.
So, what other choice did they have, really? Those are all very targeted strikes. The most targeted, the most moral army ever in history, actually. They just had to target every single building in the entire place. So,
Yeah. And I've seen people on MSNBC as recent as yesterday trying to say that they've killed less civilians than we did. We did percentage wise, ratio wise, than we did in World War II. That's their. Yeah, and I don't know if you know, after World War II, we got together and decided that we shouldn't kill civilians after that.
Yeah, we had a whole big conference about it, wrote down some things on some papers.
Yeah. I don't know, over in Geneva, maybe you heard of it. Yeah. And that's why you're not supposed to do that. So It's gross to see people on what's considered left-wing media, which it's not. It's just pro-war, anti-worker media, MSNBC. It's funny what passes for left in America passes for left nowhere else in the world. October 19th will be in Irvine, California. We'll be in Australia. Then we'll be in Burbank, California the day after Thanksgiving. And then Pottstown, Pennsylvania, December 6th. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.